PenLUG, Peninsula Linux Users Group. Great turnout tonight. Glad you all were able to fight it in the rain and everything. My name is Bill Ward. I'm the founder of this club, and we're here with an excellent presentation by Kyle Rankin, who has got a couple of books from O'Reilly, which he'll be able to sign, hopefully, and we can give those out as prizes. Everybody should have one of the little tickets by now, and we have a lot of goodies we can give away, which we'll do at the end of the meeting. So, but just to introduce our speaker, he's spoken to us once before on the subject of canonics hacks. Anybody here make it to that presentation, either here or at SVLUG? Wow, not very many, huh? Just one or two?
Yeah,
you were there. You were there at SVLUG. That was just recently. Anyway, he's a great speaker and very knowledgeable on subject matter. So I'm looking forward to learning a lot about DVD authoring with Linux. So without further ado, let's give a nice warm PenLUG welcome to Kyle Rankin.
What a great introduction. Hi everybody. So tonight I'm basically just going to be talking about DVD authoring with Linux. Like you said, I've written a couple books for O'Reilly, one specifically about all sorts of multimedia tasks with Linux, and this even better.
Yes, Carol.
In this case, it covers what I'm talking about now. There's actually a handful of hacks that talk about the same subject matter in more detail. But basically, before I start talking about how I'm going to author a DVD under Linux, I'm going to give a little bit of background under sort of like, not really a history, but sort of what's behind the scenes when you're authoring DVDs under Linux, and maybe what you've heard about when you've done some research online about how to do this. So there's some pretty standard Linux multimedia utilities out there today that you probably run across when you're researching how to create DVDs or do other things with video. So if you're going to do encoding, generally speaking, the main two programs that you use are mPlayer, or mencoder really, and then transcode. Those are the two common ones that you'll probably run across. They're command line utilities. They each have pluses and minuses. For DVD authoring, probably the two main programs that you would run into are a command line tool called DVD Author that feeds in, you feed it in XML, and it basically generates DVD menus and that sort of thing. And then there's Make ISOFS, which you can use to actually use that to generate a DVD image. So those are other very common tools, sort of like the foundation tools. Then for DVD burning, Grow ISOFS seems to be one of the more common ones. You could also use DVD Record, and there's some other tools you can use to actually generate the DVD once you do all this. Now these are all the basic tools. They're really great programs. They're incredibly powerful. They're really common if you do searches online about how to do this. You're going to find really long command line prompts. They're really hard to use. Okay, number one, if you're going to use a DVD author, you're going to be digging around with an XML file, open up your text editor, and figuring out, you're going to spend half the time figuring out how DVDs are structured, the rest of the time figuring out how to structure the XML. It's certainly not the graphical experience you may have envisioned yourself being involved in when you made a DVD, because it's all video, right? That you're sitting here messing with text files and typing commands in. These are all pretty hard to use. Well, today or tonight, my goal tonight is I'm going to make a DVD from a random AVI file I downloaded from the web, but I'm not going to have to remember the MPEG-2 DVD spec. I'm not going to edit any XML in the text file, and I'm not going to even really have any intimate knowledge of the DVD layout. I'm also not, at least directly, going to be using any of those tools I mentioned in the other slides. So if you took notes about those, you can go ahead and tear out that page and burn it. You need those tools, but you don't touch those tools. The programs I'm going to be talking about sit on top of that and basically make it a whole lot easier. So, here are the very basic general steps that I'm going to be walking through. And these are the basic steps you jump through when you're making a DVD under Linux. Number one, you take your video, whatever format it happens to be in. It doesn't really matter too much as long as Linux can play it. You need to convert that to a DVD-compatible MPEG. That's the first step. There's a certain range of specifications that a video has to fall under with audio and codecs, etc., to be DVD compliant. After you do that, the next step is to take that, you have to create some sort of DVD menuing system if you want it. You could also just, once you have the DVD or DVD compatible MPEG, you could just burn it straight to a DVD. The moment you pop in your DVD into a player, it will just start playing where the movie picks up. If you notice, most DVDs you buy aren't like that. You buy them, they have a nice little menu, and you can go through and say play, skip ahead to chapter 5, do all sorts of things, see other tracks. So you can add you probably want to add DVD menus next. After that, you actually generate the ISO for the DVD so you can test it. So that way you're not burning through DVDs just to find out you made a mistake somewhere along the line. So you make and test an ISO. Then after that, if you're satisfied with your results, then you actually go ahead and burn the DVD. So first step, convert whatever you have, in this case I have a regular AVI file, to a DVD compatible MPEG. So what's a DVD compatible MPEG anyway? Generally speaking, and of course this is very simple, for the video you have to have MPEG 1 or MPEG 2 compression. If you're doing NTSC format, it has to be 720 by 480 resolution at 29 frames per second. For PAL, 720 by 576 at 25 frames per second. Resolution needs to be, the aspect ratio needs to be 4 by 3 or 16 by 9, or you can also, go ahead.
Well, I'm confused how you have different ratios even though you have a kind of set resolution you need. Is that kind of like the max resolution, or you have borders, or?
That's the resolution. So what happens if you have a smaller resolution, you need to either grow it, like stretch it out in some way and have it be pixelated. But that's the resolution. So that's why some DVDs that are anamorphic, they actually have the black bands on the top and bottom.
Okay.
So you can either you can specify that it's 60. I guess you can also specify anamorphic, but there's 3 main aspect ratios. Should I pause for pizza or something, get through this slide, and then let everyone chow down because it's kind of torture?
You're gonna have a really hard time.
Yeah.
Okay, really quickly. Okay, audio has to be 48 kilohertz AC3 or MPEG 2. So after that, and you can probably forget all of this stuff. I'll leave it up here just so you can see what you don't have to remember. Then.
Are there any bit rate requirements on top of just? Because I noticed if you try to do this with low bit rates, it won't necessarily work.
You don't even have to worry about that. It doesn't matter.
Right. Good.
So let's pause for about 5 minutes while we all get ourselves some pizza, because otherwise we're going to be either disrupting his presentation or... we'll go ahead and restart the presentation. So take it away, Kyle.
Okay. So let me remind you of the things you can forget. Here's all the specs that you normally would have to worry about if you didn't have some sort of tool to worry about it for you. If you're just taking a random video you found somewhere and are turning into a DVD compatible MPEG. So first thing we're going to do, I'm going to convert a video, so I figure we should probably watch the video. There's audio to this, but don't worry if you can't hear it. It's not very crucial. I tried to pick something that's more visual. So let's watch a sample video. I should probably give you some background. What you just saw there was about a 300-pound ball of silly putty. So that's all you need to know right now. Oh, 50 pounds, sorry. So that's my video. So,
Is that your video?
it's not my video.
Oh, okay.
So, actually, this slide's kind of messed up a little bit. There you go. First thing to do is to get the 2vid scripts. You can get them at 2vid.sourceforge.net. That's the main site. I think it will redirect you to his personal page now. Basically, what this is a set of scripts that sit on top of, they sit on top of mencoder, and they basically scan whatever video you have, figures out what it is, and then figures out what needs to be done to it to make it DVD compatible. It also does VCD and SVCD. I'm not going to get into that, but it understands all three. And then you basically have to pass it a couple basic command line arguments just so it knows a little bit about the nature of the video you want to make. And then it does all the rest for you. So in this case, basically I say 2vid-ntsc because I'm going to be playing it in an American DVD player, NTSC. -DVD because I'm telling it I'm making a DVD and not a VCD or an SVCD, and that's all you would change those values. -in in the input file, -o or -out, and the name that I want to assign the output file. So, and then if you want to use PAL format, you can also just use PAL instead of NTSC.
You have CCAM?
I think you have CCAM too. So, let me go ahead and run this command. Like I said, I'm doing all of this live because nothing like a live demo in a presentation. And then let's just call it DVD. Actually, I have a DVD ISO already existing there, right? Let's remove that. It's from demos. So, all right. So that's the command. I'm just going to start running it, and it's like, I think it was about a 2-minute video, so it's going to churn here. I'll let you start seeing some of the output when it does this. So it actually will show you all the commands that it's running, so if you are interested in knowing more behind the scenes how it functions, you can just sort of read the output, and it'll tell you the sort of command line arguments that it runs. So there you go, it's encoding away to AC3 format, and it's right now it deals with the audio first, and then it goes through and it works with the video. I'm going to skip, while it's doing this, I'm going to skip back to the slide and tell you one more option. You can also, there's also options to force aspect ratio. If for some reason it either doesn't detect it or you want to make sure that you force the aspect ratio, you can actually tell it full wide or Panavision, and it will force the output aspect ratio to be that. In this case, it's going to be 4:3 because it detected that the video was 4:3. But that's configurable too. So, looking at my CPU meter, still going. So the next step, as it's baking here, the next step is to add DVD menus. You don't necessarily have to do this. Once you have an MPEG file, you can actually just, like I said, you can open up one of many programs that can burn DVDs and tell it, okay, here's my MPEG file. It'll burn a DVD. You pop it in and it'll just play. But that's not very much fun. You want to, especially if you have home videos, it's nice to have a little introductory screen, possibly have chapters that you define, and buttons that skip ahead to different chapters. So, to add DVD menus, like I said, it's optional. You don't have to do this, but it's a nice thing. It's really nice if you have multi-part video. If you have different segments in a home video, or you know for certain that it would be nice to skip ahead sometimes, it's nice to have menus that automatically have quick access buttons to that at the very first interface. Now, don't use straight DVD author. That's typically when you want to generate menus and you look online, they're going to tell you to use DVD author. I'm telling you not to use DVD author unless you really enjoy editing large XML files by hand. You're making really complex menus. The tool I'm going to be using is pretty good. You can add quite a bit of complexity to your menus. What I'm going to be demonstrating tonight is pretty basic, but you can have nested menus and all of that sort of thing. But when you start getting into really complicated things, and if you're very familiar with DVD formatting, you may want to drop back to DVD author because that's the most flexible option. So if you're making complex menus, you may want to look into how to use that. And again, if you're very, very familiar with the DVD structure already, and you're not, so all you really need to do is learn the XML syntax and not learn both, then you can also, if you want to, use DVD author.
Is there anything that DVD author and the XML files cannot do that a DVD can?
Not to my knowledge. I'm not.
So if there's pretty much anything you can do with DVD author.
I'm pretty sure you can do all the basic stuff. So how do you do this? There's a tool called DVD Styler. That's another one. So basically the two-pronged approach here is 2vid and DVD Styler. So DVD Styler also has a SourceForge page. You know, I can probably get away with it. Oh, no, I can. Anyway, DVD Styler is another tool that you can use. Let me scoot back here. All right. At SourceForge, it has an easy GUI, which is really nice. It has drag and drop backgrounds and menus built in. I'm going to demo some of that. It requires only passing DVD structure know-how, so that means you need to understand the fact that DVDs have titles and chapters. Just a passing knowledge that DVDs have maybe titles and chapters, and that you may want to skip ahead to certain chapters of a DVD. And that's really about as far as you have to go. You can go further, but you don't need to. And I recommend when you use it, also has the capability, and I recommend that you take advantage of this. You can make ISOs instead of just burning them. They can burn directly to a DVD. I recommend, just for testing purposes, and in case you create a project you want to revisit later on, that you make an ISO instead, so you can burn multiple copies. Because generally, if you're making a DVD, you may want to pass it out to more than just yourself. So, how to use DVD Styler. First, you need to choose a background. So let me scoot ahead over here. Okay, now it's done. And actually, now that this is done, let me demonstrate one thing to you really quickly. Let me play the video, the new video, only part of it, just to demonstrate that it not only is it an MPEG here, dvd.mpeg, but it's also larger. It resized it slightly so it'll fit the DVD size, resolution. It's not that apparent because it's not that much of a difference, but it's somewhat larger. I won't play the whole thing, but you see that. So, DVD Styler, the first step is to pick a background, so let me start it up here. Alright, so go to my directory. I have a project already set up here for me. And basically you pick a background. I have one set up here. But you can go to this. This is your opening menu. You can have, like I said, nested menus if you want. I right-click on it and go to its properties. And from there, you can tell it if you want. By the default settings are fine, but you can configure that. What I do is I go find the image I want. And you say OK. There you go. I like picking some sort of scene from the video because it's automatically the correct resolution. If it's not automatically the correct resolution, this program will stretch it for you if it's smaller, or if it's larger, it'll just shrink it down. But I like to pick something that's part of the movie.
That would be part of the 2-vidded MPEG, right?
Yeah. I usually take the MPEG, play it, screen cap it, crop it, that sort of thing. All right. Next step is to add the video. So now you have some sort of background menu, and you need to add video to it. So let's do that. Very complicated. Okay. So now my video's added. This, like I said, this is the DVD MPEG I just created using 2-bit. Now you need to set your chapters. You don't have to do this. It does some default, but since this is a 2-minute video, the default settings of every 15 minutes won't really work that well. So, to do that, go to Properties, and here are your chapter, all your different chapters. So all I need to do is say, for example, let's set this to 30 seconds, set this to a minute, set this to a minute 30, set this to 2 minutes. And that's it.
Does it have sanity checking to let you know if the chapters go beyond the actual length of the video? Okay.
Like the default would be just a,
okay, yeah.
All right. So that's it.
So what happens if you, like in this case, if you stuck with the default, what would happen if you selected a chapter?
It would probably skip. It would probably skip. Try to skip ahead to probably skip ahead to the end of the DVD. I'm pretty sure. So, I mean, you can leave it alone too and just not worry about it. But generally, what I like to do when I've done this with a home video, and what I did was I went through and sort of picked appropriate points the set chapter headings because you can get down to the second. And so I picked appropriate points to have chapter headings, and then the buttons said, you know, these are the different points, so you can skip ahead. So the next step is to add the buttons, and that's where the chapters really come in handy because you want to jump ahead to particular points. So to add buttons, there's 3 tabs here: the directories, the backgrounds that have pre-configured backgrounds if you want to use them, and buttons. So we go to the buttons menu here. And this is something else is pegging the processor. All right. So there's your live demo. Okay. Let me kill this. All right. Let's try this again. Luckily, it doesn't take very much effort to do this, so I can start from scratch. Oh, this is an important point to mention, that you can actually save your work as a project and then come back to it later. So,
For the director's cut?
yeah.
Lucas cut.
So let me go through here, add the background again. All right, now it's not working. Okay. Well, that's good. One more time, then I'll just go ahead and describe it to you.
It's the old arm waving demo.
Yeah, yeah. This is why you always do rig demos.
Display isn't doing anything
Okay.
to use.
So let me go over here and at least see if I can drag the video here. All right. So now we have buttons. Say I may be able to add the background, but I'm not going to risk it right now. So let me see. I don't even need to really set the chapter, so let me set 1 just so I can demonstrate what it's like. All right. Now to add buttons, basically what you do is see there's a button and it's labeled button. You drag the button over wherever you want it to be. I want that button to be there. Go to your properties. You say, okay, button 1. Let's call it. It'll play the movie. Usually you want at least one button that goes straight to playing your title. Say I want a second button that goes to chapter 1, or maybe chapter 2. Go to the properties here. And call it chapter 2. And notice here I can change all of the text colors. If I want to for the button, I can change fonts. I can do actually a number of things with this.
Don't you have to change the jump to?
I can change, yeah, I can change the jump to. So once you do this, what you can do is you go down here and just pick chapter 2. And if you have multiple titles, so if you drag multiple videos, the first one will be title 1, the second one would be title 2. You can just specify which title from this also. Another thing that's nice is it automatically figures out the focus for you. So if you notice on the DVD, when you go there and you have your little remote control with the arrows on it, you push down and the button goes down. Well, how does it know if there's 2 here and 1 up here? How does it know which one to go to? That's something that's set. You can actually manually override these defaults if you want to, but by default it sort of goes through and looking at the arrangement, it figures out, okay, if they hit left, which is the most logical button to go to next? Cool. And so it just sort of works that out for you. All right, let's make this a little bit, line up a little bit.
This is all based around how DVDs behave, right?
Right. And so,
With their huge, confusing Remotes.
Oh yeah, yeah, all of that. Yeah, and like I said, this compared to what it is to do it with a text file, this is way, way simpler. Okay, so now I have buttons. So now what do? I make my DVD. So I go here, click Burn DVD, and you notice I already have this set up because I did this once before. Basically, instead of burning it, like I said, I like to create an ISO image first because I like to test it. Plus, I usually want to burn it more than once anyway. So you can specify just create an ISO image, and you give it a path, and that's the path I decided to take. And you say start, and it gives you a little bit of output. It tells you the commands it's running, a bunch of output in case something, some random, like if they. What's really nice is since it's using command line tools, if they change an option or an option is deprecated or whatever, you can see the output here. Now we're done. So I just made a DVD. Now obviously if this were a 2-hour DVD, it would have taken a little bit longer. This is like a 2-minute DVD. So it was successful. So now, let me close this. And like I said, you can save the project if you want to. That wasn't that complicated, so I'm not going to. So if you notice there, I have DVD ISO in my directory now. So the next step, probably, if you want, is to, after I made the ISO, is to test it in some way. I use Xine. Now, MPlayer is great. I love MPlayer, and a lot of other people probably in this room. How many people here love or use MPlayer? Perfect. Yeah, MPlayer is great. But it doesn't support DVD menus. That's not an option. And sometimes it's a blessing, and sometimes it's a curse. Sometimes you just want to skip ahead the 50 warnings and all the people who made the movie and skip right ahead to the feature. But it's not good when you want to test your menus you just created. So you have to use Xine. Here's what you do. Xine DVD : path to your DVD.iso. So let me do that, and that basically will open it up and treat the file as though it were a DVD. Alright, so there's my very basic bare bones DVD, and if I were to have a background image, you'd see the background image there too. And you see I can highlight different things. You can control the color of the buttons if you want it to be different colors. One time I wanted the buttons to be different colors.
Can you assign graphical buttons?
Yeah. There's actually the DVD Styler website has really good documentation on how to do things like nested menus and how to do a lot of fancy things with DVDs. So this is just to get you started. So let's play the movie. So that works.
You resized your Xine window. Is that just an artifact of this video being a different size?
Yeah. So if I want to, I could also skip ahead to the next chapter.
Nice.
Skip ahead to the next chapter. That sort of thing. So chapters work.
It's the slow-mo sound is
So there you go. Test the menus like I just did. You can click around, make sure all the menus go where you expect them to go. Now when you're ready to burn, I recommend use K3B just because it makes it really, really, really easy. And if you're doing it this way, you probably want it to be easy and with a GUI anyway. So basically, all you need to do is launch K3B and say Tools, Burn DVD ISO Image. I don't have it. My DVD player is not swapped in right now, so I'm not going to burn a DVD live. But basically, you can either go to Tools and click that and pick your image, or browse through it through the K3B file system and click on it. I've noticed that the text, if it's below a certain amount, it assumes it's a CD-ROM image, and if it's above a certain amount, it assumes it's a DVD image. And so if you have a large DVD, you can just go ahead and click on it. It'll open the Burn DVD ISO dialog and just say Burn, and it'll do the rest, and you don't have to worry about it. DVD Styler right now is actually, as you can tell a little bit, it's under quite a bit of development. They just recently, I think, if I'm not mistaken, switched over to some of the new GTK libs. I noticed the file dialog is newer than the one I used last time. So it's still under quite a bit of development, but from this version and the version I used previously, before you actually had to type in title 1, chapter 1, etc., and they changed it to a drop-down menu. So even though it's fairly straightforward now, they're making steps to make it even easier. So it's definitely a project to keep your eye on because it's pretty new.
What about subtitles and alternative soundtracks?
Yeah, you can actually, I'm pretty sure, I don't know, I can't tell you how to do it on the fly, but I'm pretty sure it's a matter of dragging and dropping the WAV files to that interface, and you can specify that when you're going through your menus.
And subtitles?
And subtitles. I don't know how to do subtitles off the top of my head. I know it's possible, and there's other ways to do subtitles, not in DVDs, like InPlayer. I don't know how many of you have used InPlayer's subtitle format, but off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you how to do it with the DVD. But like I said, their site has a full-fledged manual that talks about all the steps of how to add subtitles to your movies and stuff. So. Oh, well, perfect. So, any other questions about any of these tools, or?
So, was that captured on a camcorder, or did you download it from the web?
I downloaded it from the web. Yeah, I just decided to pick a random. I actually before this one of my other demos was a QuickTime movie. I just wanted to demonstrate because a lot of people, think, well, QuickTime, you can't possibly play that under Linux, right? It's impossible. So I wanted to use that to demonstrate. You can take that and convert it too. But this one was more visual. That one, the joke was all in noise, and so just in case you couldn't hear it, I didn't want to rely on that. But yeah, you can pretty much take any movie off the web, even if it's really small. It'll look bad because they stretch it out. But yeah, home videos, direct capture from your camcorder. TubeVid's actually a really powerful script. It's actually a series of shell scripts. There's a GUI component to it if you want also. That,
oh, I thought you said scripting would be Perl or something.
I think it's either Bash or Perl. I can't remember off the top of my head. It's either Bash or Perl. I know there's components that are.
You could run which on it?
Huh?
Or file on it.
Oh, we could read the source code, or not the source code. We could read the script right now. Like I said, there's a GUI component also that basically there's buttons for all the options that there are, and you can actually, it'll automatically create some sort of a menu structure for you, just like a basic menu structure, all within one app. If you want to use a single app, I like DVD Styler because it gives you more control over things like button placement. You can drag more than one title and that sort of thing. You have more control of the background images and everything. But,
if your video is longer than, was it 1 gig or something, does it, do you have to have multiple?
oh, if it's longer than
Because the way on a real DVD, they're 1 gig is the biggest, the file.
You mean like 4 gig?
Well, within a real DVD, I think they're
DVD author will break it up into those VOBs. Yeah, and the VOB file, they'll be about a gigabyte is the max. So your MPEG will get processed, and when it gets turned into those VOBs, then it'll be chopped up into X amount of VOBs.
So you're saying each title has a maximum of 1 gig?
Well,
No.
the DVD structure, I think each file is we didn't
Each
cover
WAV file, but that don't associate each of those as being a title. Those don't necessarily have anything to do with the title or the chapters. It's just, it has a it splits them up into those different VOB files.
TubeVid's
Is there anything to look at to explore the disk? You're the Knoppix guy too, right?
Yeah.
Is there anything to explore the, it's a debug or dump the format? You wouldn't want to dump a whole gigabyte or even a 2-minute movie, but you might want to extract the menus.
Oh, extract.
Not reverse engineering, but just debugging.
You mean just like ripping another DVD and looking at it, or?
Well, displaying the format, being able to scroll through, for instance, all the menus of the finished product. You haven't. I'm just asking whether you run across any tools. Apparently, yeah.
Yeah. I'm just trying to understand exactly what
I think
you're.
you're talking about the raw XML from DVD Styler.
Well,
Or you're talking about like a retail movie, getting in and looking at about.
Oh, no, I wasn't.
Yeah, I mean,
That would be interesting too, but I mean, there's scrambling, but I was just thinking of your MPEG file, you have menus embedded in there. Is there any way to kind of see the structure?
Those aren't
Dump
actually,
out the structure?
those aren't in the MPEG file, those end up
In the VOP files that make up the DVD itself. So like the menus that you saw, yeah, that's in. Oh, another thing I forgot to mention, I dragged and dropped an image for the background. You can also use MPEGs with audio or without audio if you want. You have to note that it'll loop.
You can mount the ISO image though and look at it as a file system.
Yeah, you can mount it. You can mount it loop back. Well, let's do
Yeah,
that.
that's good.
So
And then you can see the contents as if you mounted just a data disk, because that's really all DVDs are.
So I was just wondering whether there'd be any utility that would extract if there were any type of title information or menu information that would dump that, kind of like strings does on a binary file.
all right. So here we go. Here's the DVD. Audio, like usually separate into audio and video. You have audio and video directories here. And there it is. There's the files that are on it.
So maybe strings, chapter 2 or something. Strings pipe grep. See if you can find it.
I don't think the table, the files on there, I don't think
Yeah.
it's not ASCII, it's not readable.
Yeah,
Oh, I guess it wouldn't be.
it's
It's not
graphical.
It turns, okay, yeah, it turns into like a bitmap.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes
Yeah.
sense. That makes sense.
Actually, IFO are just text files, but VOB might have embedded text files.
The IFO, I believe, has text in it.
The IFO is the one that has all the information about the entire DVD structure, and then the WAV files have all the MPEG data.
I was thinking of like a dump program that would, like, if you dump an ELF file, you get, the header and some information, plus it doesn't try to give you the entire binary content, just gives you the summary information. I was just wondering, the VOB, you could dump out and see the structure and see, there'd be headers, for instance, then it'll be ... for the contents, and then more header structures.
I don't think it's that easy to, for example, piece apart the menus themselves, like the menu structure of someone else's DVD.
Well, I mean, design is doing it.
Oh, it's reading. Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, it's
Yeah.
reading it.
So there's got to be a library or
There's gotta
something
be
somewhere
doing that.
to interpret.
But whether there's,
When you create your menus and stuff in DVD styler, is it storing that like in an intermediate XML file, kind of like DVD author does?
It actually uses DVD author behind the scenes. That's the whole thing. All of those foundation programs are still the programs being used. It just makes it a lot easier to mess with. So, and you can, like I said, you can save the project files, and so it has its own format to save the changes you've made, so when you can open it back up and get back to where you're going if you have a complex project. But yeah, you can actually tell it to not delete the temporary files if you want. One of the options when you say the burn is there's a temporary directory that stores all of those types of files, and you can tell it to not clear that out by default.
Okay.
And if you do that, then you can go through and see the DVD author files it uses and everything else.
So you may need up to at least 8 gigs to do a full DVD, because you need all the temp space, 4 gigs, and then you need all the ISO, 4 gigs.
Yeah, enough space for the ISO, enough space for the MPEG, and then some extra for good measure.
Do you happen to know if any of these tools are being used kind of professionally? Like,
I actually, what was the name of the project? I came across some website that was mentioning my book as they were doing this. They had this project for creating open source video, and they were trying to create video using all open source projects. And so, yeah, I forgot the name of the site now off the top of my head. It figures. But
it's called google.com. And
yeah, so and they were I forgot what I was going to say, but yeah, there's also Cinerella. I always confuse that because it was Broadcast 2000, and that's actually directly geared toward the commercial video editor. So it's not easy to use at all.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be. It's not geared to be. And even on their website, they say, if you're just trying to edit your home movies, go away. This isn't for you. So, but if you're not, if you're looking to do professional things, it has multiple audio tracks and supports, I think, up to 13 or 15 audio tracks or something like that. It's a pretty nice and complex program. So. Other than that.
okay.